Well everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Samsung Galaxy S10 and compare it against the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 and see which particular phone is the better one for you. Now, these two phones came out the same year back in 2019, which is so crazy because there were so many good phones that came out in that particular year. And the fact that these phones are basically now like approaching 5 years old is pretty insane to me. I still remember the date both these phones came out, and it genuinely was such a crazy surprise because these phones were so amazing and I was obsessed with them when they first came out. Now, first of all, on the outside of both, the Samsung Galaxy S10 on the front had a 6.1-inch dynamic AMOLED display. Now, it's a pretty basic, panel nowadays, but when it first came out, it was insane. 1440p, a hole punch display, and still in a lot of ways, this panel still looks very good. Like, I'm still a fan of the way this phone looks, and I do think if you're going to go through and pick up a phone, even a phone panel like this isn't really that bad. It's a really good looking panel. It's only missing like 120 Hz. Other than that, I still think it's a very good looking panel. On the Samsung Galaxy Note 10, this phone on the front has a little bit of a bigger 6.3-inch dynamic AMOLED display. This one is low resolution, so it's 1080p, but still it's a fairly good looking phone. You're still getting things like, centered hole punch display here, still 60 Hz, but the panel on this one is very nice. But I kind of think the Galaxy S10 was probably the better one, and that is the one that I probably would look at as probably being the more superior one in some ways. So I think from that particular opinion, I think that phone probably gave me a little bit more of an edge on the S10 with the higher resolution than on the Note 10. On top of that, some other big things to keep in mind. On both, they're both giving you USB Type-C ports. The Samsung Galaxy S10 was giving you a microSD card slot, which was very, very nice to have. The Note 10 basically wasn't giving you that at that time, which is very interesting. Some other big things to keep in mind here too between both. You're both getting glass backs on the backside. Triple camera setups on the back as well. The big advantage with the Note 10 though is that you are getting that S Pen. So it's very, very nice to have that S Pen built in inside of that phone. And that in and of itself, once again, is a very, very nice thing to have. Unfortunately, with our Samsung Galaxy, S10, we did not have an S Pen built in, but still it's a fairly nice thing to have on the Note 10. So on the exterior, that kind of covers it up there for the most part. Now, some other big things to keep in mind is with the cameras. So the camera layout was basically almost the exact same thing. So you're getting a triple camera setup, basically the same megapixel count across the board, wide ultra-wide telephoto lens. You're getting 4K at 60 on the front and the back side of both these lenses as well, which again is very nice to have. And the thing I can definitely tell you about the performance side of both these cameras is that the performance of these cameras were actually fairly solid. Like if you were going to go through and pick up a phone camera, both of these were very good, and that was something that was very nice to have. Like if you're able to go through and pick up a phone camera, this in and of itself was a very, very nice type of layout to have, and I do think that in and of itself was super, super cool. Now, was it perfect? Maybe not, but it was still a very solid lens when it comes down to it, and that's still something that I really liked a lot about this type of phone. Now, on top of that, some other big things to keep in mind here too is with the software longevity. So both these phones lasted basically the same amount of time, which could have been, good or bad depending on how you're looking at it. But both these phones are no longer supported with software anymore. So this is just, again, one of those things to kind of keep in mind here, that neither one of these phones are going to be giving you any more software updates. So once again, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but if you are going to go through and pick up a phone, once again, it might be better if you go ahead and buy a phone that's still supported with software. Phones like the Samsung Galaxy S21 and newer. Those types of phones are going to be giving you overall better experience than this type of device. So from that side in and of itself, once again, it's just one of those other things to kind of keep in mind here, because if you're going to go through and pick up a phone, you probably want to go and buy a phone that's still going to be giving you software updates. And this phone, unfortunately, these both are not going to be giving you that from that particular side. So once again, kind of keep that in mind there. Now, on top of that, another big thing to keep in mind here too is when it comes down to the performance. So both these phones basically gave you the same type of performance at that time, which was the Snapdragon 855 chipset inside with 6 or 8 gigs of RAM. The Note 10 had 8 gigs of RAM, the S10 had 6 at the base model. And the thing I will tell you about the performance of these types of phones is that even a device like the Note 10 and the S10, they're both giving you very solid experiences. And that's something that I like a lot about these types of devices. The fact that you can go through, pick up a phone like these and have a very good experience, it's something that's very, very nice. And honestly, if you're going to go through and pick up a phone, it's a very solid experience and a very, good type of device to go and buy. So I do think from that side in and of itself, it's a very nice thing. So overall, what I'll definitely tell you is between both, there really isn't that big of a reason to go ahead and buy either one of these phones anymore. But there was a period of time where these phones were kind of top of the top. They were like some of the best phones you could purchase. And that was something that was really cool at that time. I probably would not recommend any single person to go and buy these phones anymore, but I liked them a lot when they first came out. And honestly, in this day and age, again, I wouldn't recommend buying them, but they were very solid options when they first came out. So in terms of that kind of covers it up here. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.